There is a specific kind of silence in a server room that smells like ozone and job security. It's the hum of 1,000 fans keeping the heartbeat of a logistics giant from having a cardiac arrest. For 11 years, I've been the cardiologist. I'm not the receptionist. I'm not the IT girl, and I'm sure as hell not an employee. I'm Lauren. I'm the independent vendor who owns the keys to the kingdom, proprietary code that talks to the legacy systems, and the only person who knows why the 2014 archive is named Do Not Touch or We Die. But then came Chad. Chad Langston didn't walk into the office. He vibrated into it. He was a private equity parachute drop, AVP of operations with a resume that looked like it was written by ChatGPT on a cocaine bender. He had teeth that were too white, a suit that was too blue, and a handshake that felt like clutching a wet fish wrapped in sandpaper. He was the kind of guy who used words like synergy, pivot, and low-hanging fruit without a hint of irony. The type who thought cloud computing literally meant the internet lived in the sky. I knew we were doomed the moment he walked past my desk, which is situated in a quiet corner I negotiated for back in 2016, and tapped on my monitor with his class ring. "Hey Han," he said. "Can we get the Wi-Fi in the conference room boosted? I'm trying to stream a TED Talk on leadership." Han, my soul left my body, smoked a cigarette in the parking lot, and came back just to stare at him. I looked up from my reconfiguration of the SQL database, which by the way handles about $40 million in shipping manifests daily. "I don't handle the Wi-Fi signal, Chad," I said, keeping my voice level. "I manage the enterprise architecture. You'll want to put a ticket in with the help desk for connectivity issues." He laughed. A short barking sound. Right. Tech is tech. Just make it happen. Okay. We're streamlining. We need agility. He walked away before I could explain that asking me to fix the Wi-Fi is like asking a brain surgeon to cut your hair because they both use sharp objects. This is usually the part where I tell you to grab a drink and buckle up 'cause what happened next is a masterclass in corporate suicide. And hey, while you're settling in, if you enjoy watching arrogant executives walk into rakes, maybe hit that subscribe button and drop a like. It keeps the caffeine flowing and the stories coming. Okay, back to the carnage. The thing about being a vendor for over a decade is that people forget you aren't staff. They see you every day. You have a badge. You drink the terrible break room coffee. You know whose wife is sleeping with the tennis instructor. But there is a massive legal difference. My contract isn't an employment agreement. It's a massive B2B service. Level agreement, SLA, with a termination clause that requires a 30-day notice, executive board consensus, and a payout that would make a CFO weep blood. Chad didn't read the contract. Chad probably didn't read the employee handbook. Chad was too busy trying to disrupt the department. 2 days after the Wi-Fi incident, I started getting the emails. They weren't requests. They were summons. All hands. Tech huddle 8 a.m. strategy alignment mandatory. I ignored them. I'm a vendor. I bill by the hour for specific deliverables. Unless you're paying my meeting rate, which is triple my standard rate, and requires me to wear pants that aren't jeans. I'm not coming to your circle jerk session to hear about your vision for a leaner future. Chad didn't like being ignored. Hesitated. Stopping by my desk, hovering like a bad smell. "Lauren noticed you weren't at the stand-up," he said, leaning against my cubicle wall, crossing his arms to show off his oversized watch. "I was migrating the backup servers, so the investor report doesn't crash the system on Friday," I replied, not looking away from my screens. "It's in the weekly scope report I sent you. We need to be a team, Lauren. Silos are the enemy of progress." My contract specifies my scope of work, Chad. Team building exercises aren't in it. He narrowed his eyes. We might need to review that attitude. Everyone is replaceable, Lauren. Technology is a commodity. I finally turned my chair to face him. I look at him dead in the eye. My code isn't a commodity, Chad. It's the structural integrity of this building. You don't replace the foundation while you're standing on the roof. He smirked, that condescending. I'm the boss and you're the help smirk. We'll see. He said, I'm bringing in some new tools, modern stuff. We're going to clean house. I watched him walk away, heading toward his corner office where he'd probably spent 3 hours a day updating his LinkedIn profile to visionary. He had no idea what he was looking at. He saw a middle-aged woman in a cardigan and sensible shoes, and assumed I was Alagacy Higher, some dinosaur waiting for extinction. He didn't know that I was the meteor. The air in the office began to change. The older executives, the ones who knew where the bodies were buried and who built the cemetery, started looking nervous. The CIO, a man amid Robert who looked like he'd survived 3 wars and a divorce, stopped by my desk later that afternoon. He's asking for credentials, Robert whispered, clutching his mug like a lifeline. He wants admin access to everything. The root directories, the archives. Do you give it to him? I asked. I told him he needs to go through the proper channels. He's persistent. Hesse's he wants to audit the inefficiencies. I laughed. A cold, dry sound. Let him audit. He won't understand what he's reading anyway. He's dangerous, Lauren. He's got the board's ear for now. They think he's a turnaround artist. He's going to turn it around. All right, I muttered. Right into a brick wall. I went home that night, my quiet apartment in the suburbs, and I didn't sleep. I sat in my home office, surrounded by the glow of my own monitors, my sanctuary. I pulled up my contract. I read it. Again. Savoring every legal term, every clause, every definition of breach. I wasn't paranoid. I was prepared. I knew guys like Chad. They were predictable. They needed a win, and they needed a villain. He was going to try to make me Theverlane of his success story. Was going to try to cut costs by cutting me. The next morning, the storm broke. It wasn't a shout or a scream. It was a notification. A single glowing red notification on my Slack app. It was from Chad, and it was in all caps. Give me the shared drive password and clean out your desk. I stared at the screen. I didn't feel fear. I didn't feel anger. I felt the cold, hard click of a safety being switched off. Okay, Chad. It whispered to the empty room. Let's play. I didn't reach for the keyboard to type a retort. I didn't storm into his office. I did exactly what a professional, independent, contract-protected vendor does when a clueless middle manager tries to breach a legal binding agreement. I reached for the phone and I called my lawyer. The message sat on my screen, pulsing like a radioactive saw. Give me the shared drive password and clean out your desk. He had CC'd the HR manager, sweet, utterly ineffectual woman named Sarah, who probably thought a firewall was something you installed in a chimney. The sheer incompetence of it was breathtaking. It was like watching a toddler try to defuse a bomb with a plastic hammer. Chad thought he was firing an insubordinate employee. He thought he was asserting dominance. He thought that by noon I'd be walking out with a cardboard box full of staplers and framed photos of my cat crying into a tissue. What he didn't know is that my desk isn't where I work. My desk is just a docking station. My work is in the cloud, in the encrypted tunnels of THEVPN in the automated scripts that run at 3 a.m. while Chad is dreaming of his next bonus. I took a screenshot of the massage. Then I took a screenshot of the timestamp. Then I took a screenshot of the CC list. I didn't reply. Rule number one of corporate warfare. Never interrupt your enemy when he is making a mistake. And Chad was making a mistake the size of the Titanic. I opened my email client, not the company Outlook, but my private encrypted business email. I attached the screenshots. I drafted a short, polite note to Marcus, my attorney. Marcus is a man who wears three-piece suits in July and regards breach of contract cases with the same enthusiasm a shark has for a leaking life raft. Subject: material breach of service agreement, Langston Logistics Body. See attached. The VP of Ops just attempted a summary termination via Slack. Number 30-day notice. No board resolution. He's also demanding credentials that are contractually intellectual property of my firm until the handover period is complete. Please advise. I hit send. Then I sat back and took a sip of my lukewarm coffee. It tasted like battery acid and victory around me. The office buzzed with the usual morning chaos. Phones ringing, printers jamming, the low murmur of people complaining about the weather. Had no idea that the digital ground beneath their feet had just shifted. Chad walked by about 20 minutes later. He stopped looking confused to see me still sitting there. "Did you get my message?" he asked, his voice loud enough to turn heads in the cubicles nearby. I looked up, my expression pleasantly blank. "I did, and I have forwarded it to my legal counsel for review," I said calmly. "As I am a vendor, not an employee. The changes to our service agreement need to go through the proper legal channels." His face went a shade of red that clashed with his blue suit. "I am the VP of Operations. I am the channel. I want those passwords, Lauren. Now those passwords control the encrypted archive of the investor relations database." I said my insurance policy prohibits me from handing over root access to unauthorized personnel. And currently, Chad, you are unauthorized. He spluttered. Actually spluttered. "I'm your boss. You're my client's representative." I corrected. "There's a difference." "We'll see about that." He snarled and stormed off toward HR. I watched him go. Then quietly I minimized me active windows. I didn't shut anything down that would be sabotage. And I'm a professional. But I did pause a few non-essential maintenance scripts. Specifically, the script that clears the cache on the order processing dashboard every hour, and the script that suppresses the printer low toner alerts for the entire third floor. Petty, maybe effective. Absolutely. Within an hour, the complaint started. "Hey, is the system slow for anyone else?" someone yelled from the logistics pit. "My dashboard is freezing. Why is the printer screaming at me?" Another voice chimed in. I sat there typing away at a documentation file, looking the picture of productivity. I wasn't fixing the issues. I wasn't even acknowledging them. Under the terms of my contract, I am required to maintain system uptime. Yes, but desktop support and minimal glitch resolution require a ticket, and nobody was putting in tickets because they were too busy panicking. Chad came storming out of HR about 45 minutes later. He looked furious. Sarah, our manager, looked like she wanted to crawl under her desk. She knew she had probably pulled my file and realized that firing me was legally equivalent to firing the electric company. You can't just tell them to leave. You have to disconnect the service, pay the final bill, and hope the lights don't go out before you find a generator. "You think y'all are smart?" Chad hissed as he passed me. "I'm expensive, Chad. There's a difference." He went into his office and slammed the door. The glass walls rattled. I checked my phone. A text from Marcus. "Drafting the letter now. Do nothing over. Anything. Do not leave the premises unless security escorts you. If they touch your equipment, call the police. This is going to be fun." I smiled. Fun. The dashboard lag was getting worse. I could see the server load spiking on my secondary monitor. The Cache was filling up, bogging down the queries. It wouldn't crash the system. Not yet, but it was like driving a Ferrari with the parking brake on. Everything was sluggish, sticky, frustrating. I could have fixed it with 2 keystrokes. Enter, run. Instead, I opened a new tab and started browsing ergonomic chairs for my home office. If I was going to be fired, I might as well be comfortable. The phone on my desk rang. It was Robert, the CIO. Lauren, he sounded breathless. Chad just called me. He's screaming about insubordination. He says he wants you gone by end of day. He can want a pony. Robert doesn't mean he's getting one. He's threatening to cut your network access from his end. I actually laughed out loud from his end. Robert. Does he even know where the server room key is? No, but he's calling external IT support. He's trying Tobering and a strike team to lock you out. Let him try, I said, my voice dropping an octave. My access is hard-coded into the PI keys for the automated warehousing bots. If he cuts my user profile without migrating the keys first, robot, stop moving, the warehouse freezes. There was a long silence on the other end. I didn't know that. Robert whispered. That's because you pay me to know it. Robert, tell Chad good luck with his strike team. I'll be here. I hung up. The office lights flickered. Just a coincidence. A power grid blip. But the timing was perfect. It felt like Thebalding itself was growling. Chad wanted a war. He was bringing a knife to a drone fight, and I had the remote control. At 1 p.m. exactly, the email landed. Marcus doesn't do. When Marcus says early afternoon, he means 1300. I was CCED, of course. So was Chad. So was Robert, the CIO, and crucially, so was the company's general counsel, a man named Henderson, who I had online spoken to twice in 11 years, both times to sign my renewal. Subject line was simple. Notice of breach and cease and desist, unauthorized termination of vendor services. I opened it just to admire the formatting. It was a thing off Boaty. Bold text where it needed to be. Citations of the Illinois Civil Code. References to specific paragraphs in my contract that I knew by heart, but which Chad had clearly treated like terms of service for a candy-crushing app. Dear Mr. Langston, it began, we are in receipt of your unauthorized demand for immediate termination and surrender of intellectual property. It went on to explain in polite but devastating legal ease that 1. I was not an at-will employee. 2. Terminating the master service agreement required a board vote and 30 days. Written notice for calls or 90 days for convenience. 3. Demanding administrative passwords to proprietary architecture without a verified transition plan constituted a security risk and a potential breach of the company's own investor compliance protocols. 4. If Chad touched my desk, my laptop, or my person, we would sue him personally for tortious interference. It was a legal sledgehammer wrapped in velvet. I sat back and watched the glass office. I saw Chad's notification ping. I saw him stop, pacing. I saw him lean in toward his monitor. I expected him to pale. I expected him to pick up the phone and call legal. Instead, he laughed. I saw his head throw back. He typed something rapidly, hit enter with a flourish, and spun his chair around. A moment later, the reply hit my inbox. From Chad Langston to Marcus Vanesque Lauren. CC Henderson, Robert. Subject, renotice off breach. This is cute. Allow your letter for a temper tantrum. Lauren is a contractor. Contractors get cut when they don't perform. I'm the VP of Ops and I say, she's out. She has until 5 p.m. to vacate or security will remove her. We have a new team starting Monday. Keep the legal threats for someone who cares. I stared at the screen. My mouth actually fell open. It wasn't just arrogance. It was a fundamental disconnection from reality. He had just put in writing that he was ignoring general counsel and a binding contract because he said so. My phone buzzed. It was Marcus. Did he really just reply, "This is cute," to a formal breach notice? I typed back. He thinks he's in a movie, Marcus. He thinks he's the Wolf of Wall Street. He's going to be the Wolf of unemployment, Marcus replied. I'm calling Henderson directly. Sit tight. Robert, the CIO, walked out of his office. Looked like he had aged 10 years since the morning. He walked straight to Chad's office, bypassing the assistant. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but I could see the body language. Robert was pleading, gesturing with his hands, pointing at the ceiling. The metaphorical board, presumably. Chad was dismissive, waving his hand, pointing at his chest. Robert came out 2 minutes later, shaking his head. He walked over to my desk. He won't listen, Robert said, his voice low. He thinks you're bluffing. He thinks the contract is just guidelines. He's going to crash the compliance server, Robert, I said softly. The end-of-month audit scripts run automatically tonight. If he locks me out, or if his new team tries to patch server without the encryption keys I hold, the data corrupts. I told him, Robert said, rubbing his temples. I told him, we need you for the audit. He said, I'll have my nephew look at it. He knows Python. His nephew, I repeated. Robert, tell me you are joking. Please tell me you're joking. He said, he's a coding wizard. He's 19. I looked at my screens. The blue light reflected in my glasses. I saw 11 years of architecture, layers of security, redundancy, and optimization that I had built brick by digital brick. And Chad was going to hand it to a teenager because he didn't like my tone. Okay, I said. Well, Robert, I'm legally obligated to stay at my post until the contract is validly terminated. I am physically removed. So, I'm going to sit here and document everything. I'm sorry, Lauren, Robert said. I'm calling the chairman of the board, but he's in the Maldives. It might take a day to reach him. We might not have a day, I said. Just then, the first real crack appeared. A junior analyst from finance popped his head over my cubicle wall. Hey, Lauren. The Shredriv is asking for credentials verification token. I can't save the quarterly projections. I looked at Chad's office. He was on the phone laughing, feet up on the desk. I can't help you, Kevin. I said loudly enough for the room to hear. I've been ordered to stand down from all administrative tasks. But I can't save the file, Kevin said, panic creeping into his voice. If I close the window, I lose 4 hours of work. Take it up with Chad, I said, pointing a pen at the glass office. He's the new IT director, apparently. Kevin looked at Chad, then at me, then back at the screen. I opened a new text document. Log entry 1345. Finance Department reporting access token failures. 'Cause token refresh script requires manual authorization, which I am currently prohibited from providing. Potential data loss high. I saved the file. I named it the Chad Chronicles V1TXD. The air conditioner kicked on. A low rumble that sounded like a beast waking up in the basement. The temperature in the server room was rising. Not literally. The cooling was automated, but metaphorically the heat was on. And Chad was sitting in the sauna wearing a wool suit, thinking it was a spa day. At 3:30 p.m., the new team arrived. It wasn't a team. It was 2 guys in hoodies who looked like they had just rolled out of a dorm room. A third guy in a polo shirt that said Geek Squad on it, though he had clearly tried to cover the logo with a piece of duct tape. Chad came out of his office to greet them like they were the Navy SEALs. Gentlemen, welcome to the front lines. He walked them past my desk without looking at me. This is the server access point, he said, gesturing to the main terminal, my terminal's access point. We need to migrate the user database to this new cloud platform I bought. It's called Nebula Stream. Much cheaper than the custom rig we have now. I froze. Nebula Stream. That was a premium storage locker for indie game developers, not an enterprise-grade solution for a logistics firm handling medical supplies and hazardous materials tracking. Chad, I said. I didn't shout. I spoke with the calm authority of an air traffic controller telling a pilot he's about to land on a highway. You cannot migrate the database to a non-compliant server. Violates HIPAA and the DOT regulations. Ignore the noise, guys, Chad said, waving a hand at me. She's just upset she's being phased out. Just plug in and run the wizard. Run the wizard. I watched in horror as one of the hoodie guys, let's call him Hoodie A, plugged a USB drive into the console. Whoa. This system is ancient, Hoodie said. Running a custom Linux kernel. Yeah, get rid of that, Chad said. Wound Windows. Make it user-friendly. I reached for my phone. I texted Robert. They are reimaging the production server. Stop them. Then I started typing fast. I wasn't hacking them. I wasn't fighting back. I was downloading the logs. I was capturing the exact moment the command was entered. I needed proof that I didn't do this. That when the system inevitably vomited its own guts out, it was because Chad ordered a lobotomy. Okay, initializing migration, Hoodie B said. Says, there's a conflict with the archive. Do not touch directory. Override it, Chad said. We need a clean slate, Chad. I stood up. That directory contains the hash keys for the encrypted backups. If you override it, you lose the history. You lose the chain of custody. Security, can we get an escort? Chad yelled, looking toward the elevator. The security guard, an old guy named Earl, who I've shared Christmas cookies with for 5 years, walked over slowly. He looked at me. Chad, you want me to remove Lauren? Earl asked, confused. She's disrupting critical operations, Chad declared. Earl looked at me. Miss Lauren, it's okay, Earl, I said, sitting back down. I'm just documenting. I won't say another word. Override confirmed, Hoodie said. The screen flickered. It started subtly. The big monitors on the wall in the logistics pit. The ones that show the real-time location of every truck in the fleet. Blinked. Green dots turned yellow. Then they froze. Hey, the GPS is lagging, a dispatcher shouted. Then the dashboard turned grey. A spinning wheel of death appeared in the center. I can't see the trucks. Another dispatcher yelled. I have a driver in a blizzard in North Dakota asking for routing and I can't see him. Chad frowned. It's just the migration buffering. It'll come back. It didn't come back. Next, the phones. Our VoIP system is tied to the server bandwidth. If the server gets clogged with a massive and optimized migration of terabytes of data, the voice packets get dropped. The ringing stopped. The room went eerily silent, followed immediately by the sound of 40 people saying hello. Hello. Are you there at the same time? What did you do? Robert came running out of his office. His tea-tie is skew. We're upgrading. Chad shouted over the confusion. You have to break a few eggs to make an omelette. You didn't break eggs. You broke the phone lines. Robert screamed. I sat there. I watched Mitprivate console. The error logs were scrolling by so fast they were a blur of red text. Error. Database. Lock. Error. API timeout. Error. Integrity check failed. And then the pista resistance. The billing system. The automated invoicing script tried to run at 4 p.m. It tried to pull data from the database that Hoodia was currently overringed. It couldn't find the data. So, following its protocol for missing data, it defaulted to null values. Somewhere, in the cloud, hundreds of invoices were being generated for $0 and $0 and emailed to our biggest clients. Saw the outgoing mail queue spike. 500 emails sent. 1,000 emails sent. Chad, I said, breaking my silence. You just sent free invoices to Amazon, Walmart, and the DD. Chad spun around. What? The billing script. It ran on an empty table. You just told our clients they owe us nothing for the last month of shipping. His face went from red to height in the span of a heartbeat. Stop it. Cancel it. I can't, I said, holding up my hands. I'm unauthorized. Remember, fix it, he screamed. Spit flying. Fix it now. I need a signed work order, I said, and a reinstatement of my contract and an apology. I'll fire you. I'll sue you. You already fired me, Chad. My lawyer is going to have a field day with the fact that you overrode a safety protocol I warned you about in front of witnesses. I looked at Hoodie. You might want to unplug that USB drive before you corrupt the boot sector. Hoodie froze. Pure terror. He yanked the drive out. Every screen went black. All of them. The office collapsed into darkness as the smart lighting system, also chained to the server, reset itself. Emergency exit signs flickered on. Sickly green. Apocalyptic. Only steady light came from my laptop. Battery dash powered. Offline. Untouched. Safe. Oops. I whispered. Darkness does something to people. Not fear. Screaming. Frustration. Screaming. Sales reps losing calls. Dispatchers losing trucks. One guy just yelling, "Hell, nitrogen monoxide," into the void because suddenly there were no consequences. Emergency. Lights buzzed to life. It's a reboot, Chad shouted, voice cracking. Hard reboot. Everyone stay calm. He was sweating. I could see it glistening on his forehead, even in the dim light. He spun on the Geek Squad refugees. Get the power back on. Now. We didn't touch the power. Hoodie B whimpered. The lighting controller timed out when the server dropped. Override it. We don't know the password. I did. Let there be light. Oh, one, I'd set it myself 3 years ago. I sat there in the glow of my laptop, playing solitaire. Lauren, Chad growled, looming over me. Give them the lighting code. I didn't look up. Black Queen. Red King. Is that a formal request for vendor services? I asked. Just give me the damn code. Not without a contract. Liability, I said calmly. If I give it and the building burns down, that's on me. If you do it, it's on you. He snarled and flicked on his phone flashlight. The beam cut across my face. You're enjoying this. I'm complying. With the parameters you set, Chad. You wanted me out. I'm out. Physically present. Digitally absent. His phone rang. He glanced down and went pale. 4:30. P.M. Pre-order investor demo. The people with the money. The dashboard currently are spinning. Wheel of Death was supposed to impress them. Oh God, Chad whispered. The Zoom call. He looked around wildly. We'll do it on my iPad. Cellular data. He scrambled into his glass office, stacking books, smoothing his hair, snapping on confidence like a mask. The call connected. Gentlemen, ladies, apologies for the lighting. Chad laughed. Sustainability drill. Energy savings. Green initiatives. Silence. Then a voice boomed from the speaker. Show us the throughput metrics. We're hearing rumors of a billing glitch. The automated $0 invoices had already hit their inboxes. A minor display error, Chad lied. We're patching it now. Look at the projections. He turned the iPad toward his laptop. No internet. Chrome's dead dinosaur stared back. Chad stammered. Technical difficulties. Storm in Ohio. We're in Chicago, the voice replied. And it's sunny. Well, the cloud is dense today. I snorted. The cloud is dense, the investor repeated coldly. Where? Is the archive? We need .compliance logs by 5 p.m. We have them, Chad rushed. We're migrating them to Nebula Stream. Nebula Stream? Another voice said. The gaming server? It's Agile, Chad squeaked. Get Lauren on the line. The first voice commanded. She knows the system. Chad froze. He looked at me through the glass. I smiled. Gave a little wave. She's unavailable, Chad said quickly. Personal matter. I'm right here. I yelled. My voice sliced through the dark office like a blade. Was that Lauren? The investor asked. No, Chad barked. That was the cleaning lady. The cleaning lady knows the system? She's very smart. I stood. Walked to the glass. Pressed my phone against it. Big text. Impossible to miss. System down and verified migration unauthorized. Staff data integrity CO Mama SE. Chad lunged to block the camera. Too late. The iPad tipped. The investors saw everything. The darkness. The sign. The Geek Squad guys holding a smoking USB. Chad, the voice said softly. Terminate the call. Do not touch anything. We're contacting the board. Black screen. Chad stood frozen. A man who had just stepped off a pressure plate. I tapped the glass. Hey, Chad, looks like your sustainability drill is over. 10 seconds of silence. Then whispers. Corporate gossip travels faster than fiber. By the time I sat down, Indiana probably knew. Robert emerged calm. Centered. They called me, he said. The chairman. From a sat phone. How's the Maldives? I asked. He didn't say. He asked why the lead investor says we're run by a toddler with a screwdriver. Accurate. He asked if you were terminated. And I told the truth. Clause 14. Section B. Chad shredded documents like a beaver chewing a dam. Lights flickered back. We fixed it. Someone yelled. No, I said quietly. Failsafe did. Dashboard stayed grey. No data source found. What's the index? Chad demanded. The map, I said. You burned it. 3 weeks to rebuild. Unless... That phone, I said, nodding to the blinking line. That's the chairman. He hates waiting. Chad answered. Yes. Sir. No. Sir. Understood. He came out hollow. He wants you. I picked up. What do you want, Lauren? Rescind termination. Written. Apology. Rate renegotiation. Done. 3 hours later. Systems were alive. By morning, Chad tried to spin it. Blamed me. Ben Helen stood up. Then Kevin. Truth. Hit like shrapnel. By 11 a.m., Marcus arrived.